You might think you have plenty of time to report a car accident to your car insurance company, but waiting too long could cost you. In this video, I'll discuss how deadlines work and what could happen if you miss them. Hello, my name is Joseph Leeson. I'm an attorney at Leeson and Leeson. If you have more questions about your auto accident case, look at our motor vehicle accident playlist below. How long do you have to report an accident? Optimally, you want to report your car accident as soon as possible. In particular, you need to make sure that you call the police and have the police arrive at the accident so there's a record established pertaining to the car accident itself. But in terms of reporting to a car accident company, the most sensitive deadline that you need to be thinking about is one, the time that it's going to take in which you've got your evidence and it's fresh on your mind and it's fresh and ready and able to be passed on either to your counsel who can represent you in negotiating the settlement or passing on to the insurance company so that you can resolve the case with the insurance company and get the maximum amount of compensation that you can receive. But in terms of legally, the most important deadline that you can think about is called the statute of limitations. Statute of limitations is basically a statute that establishes that you have to bring a personal injury claim within 2 years. If you wait past that 2 years, you're out of luck and you can't proceed forward with any claim and you lose all rights you have pertaining to that injury as a result of that accident. Car accident cases, you can't wait up near that 2 years. You want to try to reach out as soon as possible in retaining an attorney or contacting an insurance company and reaching a resolution of that claim. Because if you run up against the end of that deadline, at the end of that statute of limitations, and you contact an attorney, they're going to be scrambling to try to pull together a lawsuit so they can be filed so you don't lose any of your rights. Do you always have to report an accident? Under Pennsylvania law, there's law that establishes that you need to call the police and have them report to the scene if there's a car accident so that they can make a record of what happened with the car accident. In terms of a record in that sense, yes, you do need to call the police. But otherwise, if the claim is resolved amicably amongst the parties, there's no need to contact the insurance companies and establish a record for them if you've been able to reach a resolution between the two parties individually. I don't necessarily recommend doing that without speaking with counsel first, because the counsel may be able to advise you on damages and expenses that you may not think about that you're entitled to. What's the best way to file a car insurance claim? The best way to file a car insurance claim is making sure you've got the support and the evidence and the documentation to back up whatever type of damages or compensation you're attempting to claim from the car insurance company. In particular, oftentimes, if the injury is serious enough, or if you're in a car accident where you feel like you're entitled to a certain amount of damages, it's always advisable to speak to an attorney so that they can advise you as to what type of damages you can get. Because there's, as I said before, a lot of times, in particular in my own practice, we handle car accident cases very often. So there's damages that I'd be thinking about that I know about that you may not even realize that you're entitled to. So it's important you speak to an attorney about those rights so that you make sure that you have someone who can assert that claim or at least bring it to your attention. But as I was saying before, documentation. It's all about having all that support to provide to the insurance company so you can bolster that claim, so you can bolster those damages, so you can bolster the compensation that you ultimately end up receiving at the end of the case. How long does it take to settle a car insurance claim? The length of time that it takes to settle a car insurance claim can vary depending on the circumstances. In particular, the seriousness of the injury, but also how long it takes to negotiate the settlement with the insurance company and how much they push back on the claims that you're asserting and the damages that you're asserting. As I mentioned before, factors that can speed up the time in which you can reach a settlement with the insurance company for your claim can be the documentation you provide, how quickly you can assemble medical records to provide to the insurance company, collecting the documentation pertaining to the accident itself, for example, police reports, but also collecting your own insurance information, collecting medical bills. The last part is how aggressive you want to be in terms of negotiating your claim. Sometimes if you want to be aggressive and seek the maximum damages, you're going to have to threaten to file a lawsuit or file a lawsuit to push for those damages if you feel like you're really entitled to them, which can drag out the timeline which it takes to settle the claim. What can you do if your claim is denied? Well, the first thing that I would suggest is you can reach out to an attorney to present them with the facts and the support that you have to assert that you believe that your claim was denied wrongly. Insurance companies don't always get things right. They evaluate the record and they look at the documents supporting the record to see what should be paid out, what should not be paid out. They're not attorneys, they're not lawyers that you're negotiating with. These are insurance adjusters, so they may not know the law and they may make mistakes in terms of whose duty there was in a certain accident and whether or not that duty was breached. Contacting an attorney can make sure that they advise you as to whose duty there was and whether or not you have an entitlement to claims And sometimes just contacting an attorney can allow you to be aggressive and push back on an insurance claim adjuster's denial.